So guys, I finally finished reading Hiro Mashima's latest work, and for those of you who do not know who Hiro Mashima is, he is the creator of Fairy Tail and also Rave Master. So to put it short, this first chapter is very, very similar to Fairy Tail, okay? I'm not even gonna, I'm not gonna hide from that fact, okay? I know a lot of people have been saying it, there's a lot of mixed opinions on it, but I have to come out and say it. It is very similar to Fairy Tail in more ways than one. Now, of course, the character designs, that was literally the first thing that crossed my mind is the character designs for this new series. Now, it's really hard to say new because you have all of these character designs. For instance, what's his name? Shiki. Of course, everyone's saying that he looks like a mix between Gray and Natsu, and that is quite understandable. I mean, look at him. It is quite undeniable. You cannot say that's not Natsu's face with Gray's hairstyle. And then, of course, you have the girl beside Shiki who is Rebecca. Not Lucy. It does look like Lucy, but it is Rebecca. And I gotta say, she is as thick as Lucy, okay? But back to the point, she is basically a copy of Lucy from Fairy Tail. And then, of course, you have the blue cat, the talking cat, who is Happy. Basically the same name, just a new series. And we know that Hiro Mashima likes to do this kind of stuff. Now, take into account that this is not Hiro Mashima's first rodeo when copying and pasting elements from a previous story that he worked on and, pasting it into a new one. Because we had Rave Master. I'm not too familiar with that show. I'm still trying to catch up on it. But in a nutshell, there were a couple aspects from Rave Master that he decided to keep and insert into Fairy Tail, and that is quite understandable. He didn't want to ditch some of the interesting pieces of that series. He decided to keep them and insert them into Fairy Tail. Now, it's the same thing here. He decided to keep some elements, some aspects from Fairy Tail and insert it into this Eden's Zero story, but I feel that this is way too similar to Fairy Tail in more ways than one, as I said before. So you have Rebecca and Happy in this little rocket ship of theirs. Woohoo, we're traveling. And they go to this place called Granbell Kingdom. Now, of course, before all that, we got a little peek into Shiki's story. And I gotta say, it is quite... there's a lot of the F word in this series, and it's not the word you're thinking of. Obviously, you know what I'm talking about. Friendship. There's a lot of friendship mentioned in this series, and let us be fair here, that's going to piss a lot of people off at the beginning, because people thought he was going to ditch the whole premise of friendship. When it comes to the whole friendship thing and the power of friendship and the whole power boosts, and how the characters do not get nerfed, they suddenly get huge power boosts through friendship. Whenever they think about a friend or two, they suddenly gain this huge power boost, and it really just ticks a lot of people off. Already my first impression on this series is, okay, Eden Zero is good, but will it get better than Fairy Tail? Will it change up a lot of, aspects? Will we see the never before seen? And that is the question, because this is only the first chapter, and obviously we did have a lot of pages to go through in this chapter. Anyways, the story goes off with Rebecca and Happy going to this place called Granbell, as I said, and they're exploring, and they have their own YouTube channel or whatever. And of course, they're exploring this place in order to get a lot of views, more popularity, which is something I'm kind of trying to do right now. But anyways, back to the point. It's a nice twist, I thought. It's a nice twist to have them focusing on something like that, which gives them a little bit of purpose in the story. And that's already something I'm starting to like, is the fact that they have their own channel and they'll probably get trending. They'll get a lot more attention. But anyways, basically what is all happening in this chapter is that Rebecca and Happy found this uninhabited planet that is just filled with robots. And they get invited in. And all the robots are celebrating. They're happy to have Rebecca and Happy there. They're quite excited because they're the first humans in over a century to set foot on that planet. You guys already know what the whole chapter is about, so I'm not really going to dive into it. Anyways, she meets up with Shiki. Rebecca does. And Shiki is surprised. We got this whole Dragon Ball thing going on where Goku met up with Bulma, it's the same thing that's going on here. Rebecca meets up with Shiki, and Shiki is very surprised to see another human being after so very long. Anyone else would react like that too if you were on a star all alone by yourself with a bunch of robots. Eventually, you'd probably go crazy. But that's not the case for Shiki. He's just curious. And that is basically what it comes down to. He is a character that really knows nothing of the outside world because he's never left that planet. He has been there alone all of his life, but not really alone. He has been there with those robots for so very long. And finally seeing another human being has brought, it's given him a purpose. And that purpose is to make friends with Rebecca. And that is basically where the whole friendship thing comes in again. He makes friends with Rebecca. He asks her, can we be friends? And happy, of course. And she eventually accepts after the first time getting rejected royally for poking around in her clothes. But it's very interesting. I like this story so far. I mean, there's a lot going on that is very similar to Fairy Tail in a lot of ways. Okay, I'm not going to dive into detail. Like I said, I have a mixed opinion on it. I do have to see more before I can fully judge, okay? I mean, we had a lot of pages for that chapter. But that shouldn't be reason enough for me to criticize it. I do not want to criticize it because it is a brand new story, even though it has a lot of aspects from Fairy Tail and Rave Master. I want to give it a chance, is what I'm saying. I don't want to be too quick to judge because there are some new things and there are some old things that have been introduced into the story. And I do feel a little comfortable with it considering that I liked Fairy Tail. I really do like Fairy Tail. I'm a big fan. But I'm just saying I'm willing to give this a chance. I'm going to read a couple more chapters. Hopefully it does well. If it continues down the same path, then I have to say it. It really hasn't changed. Nothing has changed from Hiro Mashima. But right now, I'm giving this series a chance. I gotta see a couple more chapters from Mashima first. Lastly, with the whole robots getting all evil and violent, I do like that. I do. Okay, it really did surprise me. All of them started to get violent suddenly, and they started to turn on Shiki, Rebecca, and Happy. It just came out of nowhere. As soon as the king got informed about Rebecca and Happy, everything started to go dark. All of these robots claimed that they were infected with some kind of virus or something. I can't remember. But they were saying that the humans were the enemy. They were looking down on them. They only think of them as tools, etc., etc. And this was only staged by the robots to get Shiki off of that planet because he was the only human being there. And he claimed that he was fixing them. And then he kept going on about friendship and how he was fixing them all of the time. And these robots were denying that fact, saying that they were fixing themselves. And that was really sad. I was hit by that part. I was. Because you have to understand something. He grew up there all of his life. He stayed there with the robots. So those robots are basically his family. Ergo, it only makes it that much harder for him to leave that planet. So the robots had to come up with this little play, this little stage. Quite a deceitful practice, but it did work. And then eventually, again, it felt like I was re-entering the very first stage of Fairy Tail. You have the whole speech from Shiki about treasuring your own life, fight for the sake of those tears, blah, blah, blah. And it just really got me there where, they're going to be reintroducing the power of friendship, as we did talk about. And he starts fighting with the king of the robots. And then we get a big reveal, a big shocking reveal that, of course, Shiki does have unusual powers. It's this thing called Aether Gear, and suddenly he's stuck to walls and he's clinging to them like Spider-Man. And I'm just like sitting here like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And he's just flying all over the place. And apparently it's a power of the Dark Ages. And Happy's explaining it to Rebecca because she has no idea what that is. And it's the same thing in Fairy Tail, right? Back in the first chapter of Fairy Tail and the first episode, Happy is explaining all of this stuff to Lucy. And it's the same thing here. It's the same deal with Eden Zero. Another similarity, we have Happy explaining the whole power situation, the power of the Dark Ages. And it's just like Fairy Tail. Lost Magic, I believe it was called in Fairy Tail for Natsu. and for Shiki, it's the power of the Dark Ages. So, and that's a very big similarity right there, which is I guess I'm fine with it. I mean, Mashima wants to keep some things the same, but I feel this is way too similar, and that's just kind of it's not really it's not growing on me, I gotta say. So the robots ultimately got what they wanted. They sent Shiki out into outer space, and that was basically it. He was out there with Rebecca. He was finally free, and that is where the story truly starts. And for me, I gotta say, that was the best part of the story for chapter 1. The fact that those robots cared so much for Shiki, they just wanted him to be free. They wanted him to see things he has never seen before. And that really makes me happy inside, but I'm also sad because the robots, their time is coming to a close. They mentioned that in the chapter. What is happening to them is apparently their life is not being sustained anymore. They're running out of fuel, so they will die soon. And I do have to say that is truly beautiful because they didn't want Shiki to be the only person on that planet. He would be there alone forever. So that is why they had to get him off, in a very forceful way. They had to get him away from the planet for good. You really do have to hand it to Mashima for that part. It was a really beautiful way to end the chapter, with Shiki setting out with Rebecca on a brand new adventure. That's basically the start of it all, and I'm hoping to see more from Hiro Mashima and Eden Zero. And sure, we have a few things that are quite the same from Fairy Tail, but you know what? I'm not going to complain just yet. I'm gonna keep all things where it is. I'm gonna continue the story. I'm going to enjoy it, hopefully. We'll see, Mashima. We'll see if you can climb to new heights with this story. I'm gonna wait it out and, check out a couple more chapters before I can truly judge. I'm going to be completely fair on this because that's the kind of person I am. I don't like to judge things right off the bat. I want to see them progress. I want to see it grow. So I'll continue to wait. I'll check out the other chapters. Let me know how you guys felt about this whole thing, Eden Zero, the first chapter, in the comments below. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on it. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was great? Did you think it sucked? Let me know in the comments. To be honest, I do like this series so far. So let us indeed wait and see how far Hiro Mashima can go with this story, Eden Zero. And of course, I will catch you all in the next First Impressions video. Peace out.